Hi guys, this is just a really quick video. I promise. This one's only going to be a few minutes. And the reason why I'm putting it out there is because of a great question that Paul asked on the previous video. And that is, if we're going to use the thrill of the chase to locate hints, how can Forrest Fenn be sure that everybody's going to come up with the same interpretation for the hints? And I think the reason why he asked me that was because I gave an example of Mammoth Hot Springs and how that's being described at what he did at the Totem Cafe. And he's 100% right. I mean, I might think that that's the Totem Cafe is describing Mammoth Hot Springs, as somebody else might think that it's talking about something completely different. So how can Forrest be sure that those hints are going to be useful? So my response to Paul is really pretty easy. It's three parts. One, well, let's take a look at the poem as it sits right now. The clues are extremely vague. We already know in the community that over 8 years now, nobody can agree on any of the clues. So obviously, people are interpreting differently. Okay. The important thing is that we interpret it as Forrest intended us to interpret it. So suppose we don't use the book and we just sit back and come up with our own ideas using dictionaries or a thesaurus and come up with our own synonyms or what have you, and try to come up with our own definitions. Well, that's the same problem again. How can Forrest be sure that they're going to choose the right definitions for the clues in the poem? So we're back at stage one again. We got the same problem. So in my opinion, things would only be better by using the thrill of the chase. And the reason for that is that everything in the thrill of the chase is in Forrest Fenn's words. And Forrest Fenn's words, his definitions for words and his feelings in that book are the ones that we're most interested in, because above everything, above my own opinions, above your opinions and anyone else, Forrest is the one that we care about. So how can Forrest deal with that? You know, how does he know that everybody's gonna come up with the same answers for the hints? And my example to Paul is, let's take a look at a couple things here. Let's look at word games such as heads up, catchphrase, and charades even, because although we're not talking about people doing pantomiming, I think it's called, but we do have images in the book. So you're looking at images. That's one variation that he may have put in there as hints. For example, a good one would be the picture of Skippy, I think on page 56 in front of the rock. We know for sure that that was taken, thanks to Bill Gorman, at where it was taken in Yellowstone Park. Okay, so let's look at word games. And I was doing this with my wife because she kind of agreed with Paul. And she said, yeah, how would you know? So I asked my wife, I said, you know, apple. And she comes back and she says, red. And I said, no, orange. And she said, colors. And I said, no, banana. She come back, fruit. Ah, okay, you got it. So I gave you 3 words and you came back with the correct one. Now, once you get that answer, okay, remember that we're dealing with a puzzle here. We have 9 clues to solve, not just one. So there's kind of an advantage for us there, because not only do we need to choose the right answer for a hint for the first clue, we need to pick one that's going to work in tandem with the other 8 clues. And overall, so it's kind of like Wheel of Fortune. Okay, once you figure out what all the words are, and you got all the right phrases, now combined, that's going to come up with a question, and that question is what we need to solve to actually get to the treasure chest. You understand? So that's how we do that with the book. So the downside is, I'm sitting here with my wife. I can play heads up or catchphrase interactively. We can't interact with Forrest, and Forrest knows that. But to get around that, one thing he could do is just repeat, you know, the various ways, the same hints for one of the clues. For example, there might be 6 or 7 places where warm water salt in the thrill of the chase. Okay, so you may pick the wrong one, but if you pick it, you're eventually going to find out, because you're never going to find a canyon down and no place for the meek and Homer Brown and et cetera, that all work together. And then, of course, don't forget that once you get all the hints working together, you then need to apply it back to the poem and then map that to a real world location. And if you can't narrow that down to a specific spot, you know that you made a mistake somewhere. So I think that that's the way he did it. So he'll repeat clues. And another brief example to that is, and this is why I probably should have never discussed the solve to begin with, but let's say that by beginning where warm water salt, you're going to assume that that is a feeling. It's an emotion. Okay. So now you're going to go through Forrest's book and you're going to find any place where his emotions turn from calm to anger or to, he's afraid or something like that. Right. What you want to do is you want to find every place that happens in the book, not just one, like I'm talking about the Totem Cafe. You want to find 6, 7 places where you probably put it. Now you could look at 6 or 7 of all those words, apple, orange, pear, banana, and then eventually you're going to say, he's talking about fruit. Now, obviously, he didn't use words; he used phrases. But so you go through the book and you find out everywhere, when he got shot down and when he lost his job, when he was afraid in Borders bookstore, when he was afraid when he went to the Kachina doll store. Those are a bunch of different examples. And what you do is you extract the hints from all of those examples and look at them, look at the big picture and say, okay, what is he trying to communicate back to me here? Now, once you got all that figured out, okay, so now you think you got where warm water salt. So you move to the next clue. Okay, where's the canyon, for example? And you go through and you do the same thing. Taking in the canyon down, let's just say, for example, that he's being, kind of a, snarky guy, and he's saying when he got whipped, okay, when his father beat him, that he took it the canyon down, he got his ass whipped. Okay, so go and look through the book and find out every place where he got his ass whipped, and do the same thing again. Okay, but this time when you find a word for that, it somehow has to fit in with your hint for where warm water salt. Okay, so now you keep doing that through all of the clues. When you get all of them done, now you go over to a map and you look at the clues in the poem and you use your hints and you try to map that to the real world. So you find your warm water salt. Okay, you got that nailed. Find a canyon down. Oop, got that nailed. Oop, I can't find a home of brown. Well, now you know something's wrong. You know that either your warm water salt is wrong or your canyon down is wrong. Something is wrong somewhere. So that's how you could kind of verify it. And I think that that's kind of how Forrest is intending you to do it. That's why he's saying that you're going to have to reread the book multiple times, because you're going to have to try to put everything together so that it all works in the big picture, right? And, for those of you that don't want to use the thrill of the chase, I think you're just wasting your time, because, yes, you're going to get biased in the thrill of the chase, but at least I'm dealing with one book, and it was written in Forrest's word. So I could take that as gospel. Everything in there is intentional, and everything is in there is intentionally, and one way or another should help me with the poem. If it doesn't, then I grab the red herring. But let's say you didn't use it at all. Okay, that's fine. You're going to sit back and try to use dictionaries and so on and try to come up with your own definitions. Well, now you're not even paying anything attention to what Forrest did. Okay, so you have more of a chance to hit bias there. And it gets even worse as you start adding more and more references. For example, add the scrapbooks, add for whom the bell tolls, add A Catcher in the Rye. Now you're just making things dramatically worse than they need to be. But anyway, I want to thank Paul for that question. I think it's really great, and I wanted to put this short video out here just to explain that that is how I think it works. And I probably should have been more clear about that in my videos. And unfortunately, when I got into the solution, it kind of muddles the waters, because you don't know my entire solution. And when you don't know my entire solution, you can't see the logic between some of the choices I may have made. So I probably shouldn't have done it in the first place. But either way, those are my thoughts. And be sure to tell me how you feel. And please like and subscribe. And thanks a lot, guys. Again, have a happy new year. Talk to you later. Peace.